Engineering was the force that made the UK an industrial power, creating factories, infrastructure and products that led the globe. Over the past century, engineering has shaped the face of Britain, delivering innovations to improve the lives of millions. In a world dominated by fast-changing technologies, engineering is more critical than ever, a central force that determines the future of our nation. Over the next half hour, we will be exploring the future of engineering with some of Britain's leading industry voices.
Historically, we've always been a nation that have made things. Over more recent times, that hasn't been the case. We haven't got great natural resources of any description, and it's fundamental for the economy. We can't just rely on our banking and financial industry to support the economy.
The challenges in the engineering sector in this country are everywhere because there's a lack of investment, a lack of training and a lack of attention and care about engineering across the country. Government basically relies too heavily upon the fact that 80% of GDP comes from financial services and other service industries, and we've got a terrific industry or capability as a country in engineering, but being such a small portion, nobody actually pays the attention to invest in it, to train people in it, to develop it and to do the further research that we can actually do if we were prepared to put the money to support this as an industry.
We deal with companies throughout Europe. We've got some partnerships with outfits in Australia and the US. And when you consider how far they are behind the UK in terms of off-site fabrication and new technologies in construction, I would say the future is very bright for the UK in that regard, yeah.
Engineering is a critical industry, fueling development in a huge range of sectors. The growth of engineering in the UK is critical to our economy and our national interest, ensuring that Britain continues to lead the world. Supporting the industry and attracting investment from around the globe should be a major priority for both government and private industry.
There are some initiatives that make it much more viable for companies like ourselves to invest in these kind of technologies, certainly. We've had help from the European Innovation Fund, for example, which exists for everyone to tap into, whereby some of your expenses in research and development of new innovations can be offset against your corporation tax, and that's been quite a significant amount of money to us. It's gone to a number of different technologies that we've looked at developing, one being the builder bracket system, which at the moment sits there and is very functional and becoming very successful. But to take that to the next level so it integrates with a BIM model of a construction site is going to take much more investment, and that's the road that we're embarking on at the moment.
I've always thought that the UK had a great reputation, not only in the UK itself, but obviously through Europe and the world. And obviously the Chinese kind of side come into that, the Asian kind of side come into that then, where we're doing a lot less lower cost products and so forth. But I do believe now that people are looking at coming back to the traditional values and traditional companies of having things handmade, having things made correctly by UK engineers, because the badge itself has always been about quality of product. It might never be the cheapest product available on the market at the time, but it's always been one of the best quality, best resourced products and the most reliable products on the market as well.
So Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, intelligent manufacturing, it has a wealth of names. It's something that's making sure that we have the flexibility within our manufacturers. It's making sure that you're gathering the right amount of data and that large amount of data and using it in a functioning way. Have you got the right skills of people to interpret it, and have you got the right markets to distribute that knowledge and that information in, and are you making the products for the right market? It's really turning the manufacturing sector into a global market more so than it is now.
Wherever we go in the UK and ROI, the energy is becoming important, and producing, transforming and transporting the energy to the consumers is a key topic for all our grid operators today. And where before we used to produce electricity in some power plant, today we're producing it elsewhere on the wind farm, and therefore there is a massive change in terms of the energy transition and transport of this energy. The second part is the digital transformation. In anything we do today, there is data. Data in terms of factories in the industry, data in terms of the energy grid operators, and data everywhere. So the use of this massive data that we're collecting everywhere and everybody is putting them in data center, and the growth of this data and digital transformation is enabling every customer and every person today to be able to use it effectively and make use of it in a much more optimized and much more effective way. So the two major trends in terms of energy transition and digital transformation are the mega trend that would transform our environment in the years to come.
The sort of developments that we are looking at and involved in are virtual reality in terms of maintenance, where previously one would expect a maintenance engineer to perhaps walk up and down a production line with a schedule of maintenance. Nowadays, we would expect that they would have live information relating to the condition of the machine, and they can do condition monitoring. I expect to see an engineer now walking up and down with a tablet or an iPad rather than a clipboard.
Engineering is a central pillar of our economy, creating a wide range of jobs and securing long-term contracts and investments. As a critical contributor to almost every other industry, engineering can continue to fuel growth and innovation, even in leaner economic times.
The Internet of Things is a really interesting challenge for us and our customers at the moment. What is happening is that all of these devices that are being deployed that are connected to the Internet is driving a huge change and an increase in traffic across the globe and across the Internet. And that gives our customers and ourselves two particular opportunities and problems. One of which is to make sure we drive the amount of bandwidth within the Internet to make sure all these devices can be protected as well. But the other, and potentially more importantly, is that the data being transferred is secure. With all this information being passed globally on every single thing that is device connected into the Internet, our customers need to make sure that that data is safe, and that's exactly what we can help them with doing.
The latest innovations within our sector is the advent of BIM technology, which is really changing the face on how we work. Whereas historically we would supply components, we're now leaning much more towards supplying finished product. A lot of the components that we would have sold previously went to a construction site, and they were assembled and formed into those components on site. There's obviously a big push on health and safety issues on sites now, de-skilling some of the things that happen there. So it's really given us a shift to making prefabrication and off-site fabrication a real developing area of our business, and probably accounts now for 40% plus of our revenue.
So the leading technologies that we see in the marketplace at the moment are probably twofold, one of which is what we call software defined. This is where software is really coming of age and really coming into its own and really driving a change within how we use and deploy entire networks and entire data centers. The other element that comes hand in glove with that is automation. This is how our networks and our systems adapt automatically using this underlying software to business changes and real life environments that are having an ongoing and proactive change, and the networks that we design automatically adapt to that.
The industry is demanding for more and more prefabricated solutions. Obviously we've got to change with the times, the same as everyone else is going to stay at the forefront, and that's exactly what we've done. We've made some good investments.
ICT is really developing across our industry, and it's becoming so critical to the success of pretty much every single organisation, a business that's currently in the UK. And the reason for that is businesses have to rely upon their IT, and in particular on their network. More and more businesses are putting more information, more data, more connectivity, adding more services, and more reliability is core to making sure that happens. If companies don't have that reliability and the networks and the ICT systems start to fail, it absolutely will have a direct impact to their business. So making sure that the reliability of ICT is absolutely fundamental. However, what they also need to make sure is that the promised outcomes of the IT investment is actually delivered to them. There's nothing worse than buying something, expecting a change to your business, and it doesn't work. And at Axions, we are making sure that where we research different types of networks, different types of technologies in ICT, we're doing it to develop a real outcome that will drive the benefit to our customers.
Buildings of the future will be assembled rather than constructed. And BIM is only going to endorse that further, because we can do so much now. Who would have thought 2-3 years ago that you could have digitally printed a case for an iPad, for example, or whatever it might be? And these things are, these are developing technologies which really are going to change the face of the construction industry. There's no two ways about that. Often what we get from our clients these days is we'll get the architect's drawings maybe. We employ people that can then take that into a BIM environment, do take-off materials, design the ideal areas of that project to be modularised, can pick out any areas where we can really promote the off-site fabrication services that we offer. Yeah, that's a very important part of what we do these days.
The only way that industry can be developed now is doing the things that they are purporting to do, but doing them with actual real purpose and real intention. Make apprenticeships genuine apprenticeships, not false apprenticeships. Invest a huge amount in the people. Make sure that we do retain a steel industry, because without a steel industry, it's impossible to have a genuine manufacturing industry. Make sure that we've got a good energy policy so that industry can actually look after itself from a source of energy, and it's got all the raw materials in terms of energy, steel, people, and then be prepared to spend a huge amount, and unfortunately it is a huge amount because it's become so run down, in genuinely promoting research and development and allowing people to take maximum benefit from anything that they do gain. It's about creating employment and creating an incentive to actually build things. And until the government changes that focus, manufacturing engineering in this country is never going to recover as it should.
Good design is a critical part of products, systems and infrastructure networks. Ensuring that new designs achieve consistent high standards is a major challenge for any engineering firm. But with systems potentially in use for years or decades, the right design can deliver millions in savings. A mix of simplicity, efficiency and forward thinking is essential.
So retrospective engineering is painful in two different ways. Firstly, it costs our customers a lot of money. Secondly, it can delay a lot of the outcomes of the benefits of the projects that they look to deliver. So the way that we in Axions make sure we remove that from our customer projects is to really make sure that the designs that we put in place are fit for purpose for the business that wants to see that outcome and that works with the current investment in technology that the customer already has. The way that we do that is an intense amount of work on planning, but also doing a lot of work in our laboratories as well, taking the best technologies that we see in the marketplace, making sure they work with our customers' environment and really test them in a proof of concept lab to make sure that the outcomes that the customer wants really will be delivered by the solution. Then we go to deploy it, and we deploy it in a very structured way because a lot of our customers' networks are live critical systems, and we make sure we deploy at the right pace to get the right outcome at the right time, rather than rush it too quickly and end up with problems.
Without investment in technology and processes and equipment, you won't have the profitability and growth within the manufacturing sectors that you are witnessing. One of the things that is key to remember is that engineering sectors need to learn from one another, so sharing of knowledge is very crucial. One of the things that we see quite a lot of the time is that a technology or an innovation that's been developed, say within the aerospace sector, could have a fundamental role within either the power generation business or even healthcare. Long-term investment in research and development is a key part of every manufacturer's business these days. One of the things is that it's not only about the amount they invest, but making sure that the technologies they're investing in have a long-term future commitment, so they're future-proofing their businesses.
Knowledge sharing is a key topic within the industry. There are a lot of new people coming to the industry with the additional workload, and it's vital that lessons learnt from past projects are carried forward into the current projects. We don't keep reinventing the wheel.
The challenges the industry faces as a whole, especially looking at engineering, is the fact that we need to keep looking at innovation. We need to keep pushing forward. We need to keep looking for more sustainable products. And basically keep driving all the businesses forward at this moment in time by working together. So the equal partnerships from clients such as Siemens and the partnerships we've got with Wakefield College and Bradford University, it's a lot of people coming together within the UK to work together for a common goal, which is driving our industry, whether it be engineering or power generation, or healthcare. It's helping us all to drive the UK forward as a major force in the world at this moment in time. And doing that together, we can be as competitive and cost effective as anybody else by having the best products also.
The challenges in delivering multidisciplinary engineering projects are to ensure that each of the disciplines involved are aware of exactly what's required by the client. And as such, it's very important that the business that's delivering that is very focused on the client's process, is very knowledgeable about the client's process, and can add value to ensure that what they deliver is exactly what's required to make the process more efficient.
Engineering relies on its highly skilled and motivated workforce to compete on the global stage, but finding new employees is becoming a challenge. The perception of engineering as a grimy, heavy field persists even decades after much of the industry became high-tech and driven by computer-aided design and simulation.
There is a very large skills shortage at all levels really within engineering at present. The college is working within local industry, or working with local industry, to move forward those skills and offer bespoke training to match the companies that are out here in the Wakefield district. Our aim is to build a new skills centre in the district to lift the higher skills in engineering and computer skills to ensure that the local needs are met from the local area and not taken from elsewhere in the country. The apprentices here at Advanced Diesel work in many different areas of the plant and they learn many different skills. They do everything from welding to laser cutting to actually the installation work within the enclosures. These trainees are quite impressive and they work very hard while they're within the college environment.
What we're trying to do is explain and promote the jobs and the project that we have amongst the youngsters, to explain to them how fascinated our projects are, whereby within 6 months you could design a project, you could construct it, and you could build it, and you see the result. And whenever we had the chance to explain what our project consists of to youngsters, they are fascinated with this type of approach, and they rather come and design and build, go on site and build a project rather than sitting behind a desk. And that's the promotion of this type of jobs is key, and we're lacking at the promotion and the marketing of our jobs in the engineering. And if we spend a bit more time marketing and promoting our job to youngsters, whenever we did it, we successfully attracted youngsters into our field. And that's how we take those youngsters, whether through the apprenticeship or whether through internship, that convert into jobs. And by promoting these businesses and these projects that are fascinating and that enables them to touch into the energy sector, that's a fascinating energy sector, or the digital transformation that keep growing everywhere, wherever we go, that attracts them and that gives them a real interesting challenge, and they like coming into this field once they have the right person explaining to them what this field is all about.
Without the support of the government, especially when you're talking about innovation, it's going to be difficult for us to compete in the rest of the markets in the world. So the government needs to support apprenticeships, engineering, innovation through the UK, manufacturing industries. You know, it still needs to support that network to making sure that put in the relevant training programs. We've got succession plans in place for the future, so businesses can carry on what we've learned and what are traditional values and what makes this country great and proud, there can be some continuity. So there has to be investment in all different aspects of that, whether it be from the apprenticeships and training and development in schools to the engineering, whether it be through innovation, looking at new machinery, latest technology. There has to be investment throughout the scope of things, not just in one specific area, but in lots of areas that all associated to the same kind of output.
The rail electrification industry right now is very active. The government is investing £2 billion over the current 5-year control period in electrifying new lines, bringing electric power for faster, quieter, more energy efficient trains around the country.
Some research conducted by the Warwick Institute estimated that we need around 1.6 million more engineers between 2012 and 2022 if you take together the current supply, so anyone who is becoming a technician, is on an apprenticeship scheme or is going through higher education, that pool number is actually only around 100,000 a year. So we have a shortfall at the end of the decade of 300,000. So we need to address where we're going to get those talented engineers from. Linking industry with education providers is a really fundamental part to address the skills gap. By getting engineers involved in schools, whether it be on the boards, to discuss how the education system goes, getting engineering as a subject in the classroom is a real crucial factor. One of the things that the institution is involved in is a teachers' industrial placement scheme. This is where we are encouraging teachers to go into industry and learn how engineering companies work. This isn't just about learning about the production side of the business or the design side, but also the finance and the marketing side. So they get to have a fully understanding of how an engineering firm works so that they can encourage those students to go into engineering as a profession. We
truly believe there's a skill shortage in engineering in the UK across, I've worked in many industries and we seem to be having the same problems. So one thing we've tried to adapt here working with Wakefield College is putting in a modern day apprenticeship of a succession plan. So we're building our business now for the future, but we're also developing the successors for the future of this business as well. So, and that's traditional techniques. It could be a welder, could be a design engineer, could be an electrician. If we don't keep training people and learning people from schools through college, it's going to be very difficult for us to attract people into the engineers as well.
Wakefield College, working with local industry and the council, has identified a large shortage of higher level skills within the district. We're working hard to develop ways of bringing on those skills and getting people available for local industry. We are building a £6 million centre. It's an advanced skills and innovation centre which will be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and manned by specialist staff. So businesses can come in and work with us when they find a problem or an issue in their own areas, and we'll help them develop out a solution.
When we first started this business, the key individuals that we had were based around customer service and sales. Now some of our most important members of staff are engineers, be it CAD operators, or we employ a mechanical engineer and electrical engineer to have a more knowledgeable input on what we're trying to achieve going forwards.
Engineering is a major driver of innovation across the world. As the pace of technological change accelerates, it'll become ever more important to focus on new approaches and designs that can deliver real value. While understanding the market and the landscape of development is a challenge, it's the difference between leading the industry and following.
Our business has always been about supplying repeat purchase consumables to construction sites, and as I've said earlier, I think our business very definitely is more aligned now to producing finished products that assist with our customers' installations, speeding them up, better quality, and ultimately helping them to help their clients achieve their goal, which is to finish a project on time and within budget. Some of the things that have happened from our innovations and getting the reputation that we're now getting for off-site fabrication is we're being asked to get involved in all sorts of different things. One of the more recent developments for residential premises in London, for example, the Greenwich Peninsula in and around the O2, I'm led to believe was a wasteland 2-3 years ago, which nobody was particularly interested in. And yet now it is the biggest development of high-end apartments going up anywhere in the country. These apartments that are going up all need to be serviced if it's a 1-bed, 2-bed, 3-bed apartment. Each one has their own cupboard with the utilities in it. Those utilities range from heat recovery systems, whole house ventilation, washing machine, energy monitors, and so on and so forth. This is an area where we're getting heavily involved now in design and manufacture of prefabricated utility cupboards. So we build them from scratch here. A lot of the components are free issued by our client. We assemble them, fit them, send them to site so they're ready to literally plug and play. And that's an area where our business is really evolving at the moment.
I believe that the industry is developing very well. And I think if it's got the right support there from the government, local government especially, I think the industry itself can carry on growing in its current state. I think there was a little bit of a lull a few years ago from an industry itself, but I do believe that the industry is growing from strength to strength. It's getting stronger, people are working together, there's more collaborations and business partnerships. Suppliers are working with clients, clients are working with other businesses, so it's very, very important for us to be a strength together, which will help support the UK and all the businesses within the UK economy.
Where certainly the industry development for the years to come is significant. Those two mega trends that we've discussed, be it the digital transformation or the energy transition, are going to have a major effect on the evolution of the whole environment and the whole world. And being on top of the technologies as well as being expert in these sectors would enable us to anticipate and to try to bring the best solutions to every user, every consumer, and everyone on this planet.